Hello everyone and welcome to week number 7. It's hard to believe that we are just 4 short weeks away from the end of this quarter. It feels like it just started yesterday, so time is definitely flying by. So this week we have 2 chapters that we are focusing on. We're going to focus on chapter 4 and chapter 21. So for this first day 1 video, I'm going to focus solely on chapter 4, which is talking about medical terminology. So medical terminology, and most of medical language, is derived from the Greek and Latin because those were the first languages spoken with the early fathers and forefathers of medicine. It is very important that we not only have good communication between healthcare providers and professionals, but we also know that medical terminology is frequently used in those communications, both in the office, in the charting, and in patient documentations. As a medical assistant, it is important to have a basic knowledge of medical terminology. But it is also impossible to know every single term in medical terminology. It just can't be done. Unfortunately, I wish we could, but there are still some terms that I don't know and I have to look up. While it is a challenge to learn this new language, it's very crucial to your profession that you learn how to do so. So let's start with breaking down the medical terms. So it's important to know that medical terms are made up of a few parts. They're made up of the root word, the prefix, and the suffix. Your root word is the part that carries the main meaning of the word. It is a word or an element from which other words can be formed. So for example, the word cardio is your word root here. Cardio means heart, and you can add other things onto it to make it either a different meaning of the heart or a different example of the heart. The prefix is the next thing, and that is the word element that is placed before or at the beginning of a word root. The prefix is used to alter or modify the meaning or to create a new word. So for example, you see that we have the word hypertension. Hyper, that first part, is the prefix, and that means high. Tension is the word root that means blood pressure. So hypertension stands for high blood pressure. And lastly, we have the suffix. The suffix is a word element that comes at the end of a word and alters or modifies its meaning or creates a new word. This could be a syllable or a group of syllables. So in our example here, we have the word cardiology. The suffix here is ology, L-O-G-Y, and the word root is cardio. That word itself, cardiology, means the study of the heart. Now sometimes a combining vowel is needed before you can join the suffix to the word root, or it is used when you join 2 word roots together. The combining vowel is usually the letter O, but sometimes it can be a different vowel. The purpose of a combining vowel is to make a word easier to pronounce. So for example, another word that we think of that has a combining vowel is the word mammogram. Mam, M-A-M-M, is a word root which means breast. The suffix gram stands for the record of or a x-ray. So we add the combining vowel of an O in there to make that word easier to say. Mammogram. Now sometimes most words will have a combining vowel and some will not, and those will be called a combining form. Now I know it sounds a little crazy because a combining form and a combining vowel sound very similar. But a combining form is a word root that already has a vowel attached to it. So kind of like our cardiology example. It already has the O there, so it doesn't need a combining vowel. Instead, it is called a combining form. So now that we have broken down the words and we understand the parts of the medical term, we need to talk about taking the word apart. So this is a skill that medical assistants can use not only for medical terms, but for everyday English. I generally say that you should start with breaking down what the suffix is first. Once you know what the suffix is, you can apply it to several words. So then move to the word root. The word root is mainly related to a body system or an organ. So starting to develop a habit of taking words apart will help you understand the word, it will help you to build patterns and the meanings of medical terminology. So again, look at how cardiology is. Start with the word or the suffix, that ology part. Break that down first and learn that ology means the study of. So anytime you see that, it's going to be the study of something. And then you move to the word root, which we now know means cardio means heart. So ology, cardio, study of the heart. And the last part of this chapter that I want to discuss with you guys is how important it is to also understand how to write and pronounce medical terms. So it is important for you guys to have the correct spelling, understanding of the plurals, and how to pronounce those medical terms. In regards to making sure that you are spelling things correctly, it's important in any language, but specifically it's very important in medical terminology. Poor spelling reflects poor care and a lack of professionalism. And nobody wants that for their patients. You want to make sure that when you are telling a patient or you're writing something in their chart, you are doing it with the utmost accuracy. Wrong spelling can also imply a different word. A change of an O to an A or an A to an O or an I can definitely change the word from being something simple to being something maybe dangerous. Understanding the plurals. It's important to understand that not all medical terms are singular. Plurals are sometimes formed according to Latin rules, and they're not always according to English rules. What I want you to do is make sure that you are looking at your book in Chapter 4, Table 4.7, because that gives you a great deal of listings of all of the different plural terms in medical terminology. And lastly, we have the pronunciation. So this is probably the most important thing when it comes to medical terminology, is learning how to pronounce the words. As a medical assistant, you must learn how to properly say the medical terms for not only when you're speaking with the physician, but also when you're speaking with patients. And you want to typically try to not use medical terminology or medical jargon when you're speaking with patients, because that can confuse them at times. But when you do speak with a physician or a provider, you do need to make sure that you are using the correct pronunciation of a medical term. Then Chapter 4 goes on to talk about the different body planes and body systems. But I'm going to stop the video at this part and make sure that you read the rest of that chapter, because I know some of your quiz questions will be based on body positioning and body systems. So that is all I have for this Day 1 video today. Please make sure that you are prepared and ready for Day 1 of class by reading Chapter 4. And come to class with a pencil and an eraser, and come prepared to be doing some major work this week. I look forward to seeing all of you on Day 1 of Week 7. Bye, guys.